and welcome to the 7th episode of the New Podcast. My name is Steven, joined by producer extraordinaire Kelly. What a week of sports entertainment we've had. SmackDown 1000 was great. Raw was much better than the previous weeks. Great Raw as well. We had one hell of a week of sports. And I found some MMA to watch. I found some MMA to watch. I didn't have to dig deep. There was some. I wanted to watch good matches. That's the thing. When I was first searching, would it be Professional Fight League? Would I watch finally Professional Fight League? But I found something. I found something. I'll touch base on that later on in the show. It was a bit of a rough week. But I can tell you, we always talk about diets, what diet you should take. Go on the super sick as fuck diet. That, man, you get like the flu, get real bad flu diet. Great diet, man. I tell you, I lost 10 pounds this week. Seriously. Just from being super sick. It was not fun. Tough diet, but man, did I ever get results. I give a 5-star review. Getting really sick diet works for me.
You're too skinny now.
I'm gonna be on like those commercials. Just get super sick. Lick the turnstiles at the SkyTrain station.
We don't recommend this.
Put your mouth on the handrails. And you could lose 10 pounds too. Seriously though, no, it was terrible. What a terrible week for me. Still managed to get some watching my wrestling. I had a great time for SmackDown 1000. I'll go touch base on that later on in the show. Have you seen, Kelly, this video of that Deontay Wilder punching that mascot?
No, I have not.
Okay, so like it's like an American talk show, but it's in Spanish. And Wilder's like the heavyweight champ, it's like the American heavyweight and for boxing, right? And they bring out this mascot, but it's all in Spanish, right? And they bring out this mascot, and they ask him just to give the mascot a light jab. And he just fucking plows this mascot, overhand right, knocks him down, apparently breaks his jaw.
Oh, no.
Messes the dude.
Oh,
and he does a karate, wah! But he just hammered this poor dude. It hasn't been, that's what's kind of weird. It hasn't been confirmed, medically, that his jaw has been broken. But they're saying his jaw did get broken. He was clearly got clocked. He hit him. There was no way that wasn't where his face was, and he got clocked.
Was he having a bad day?
No, it was weird. It was weird because it was almost like he was jokingly doing it, but that wasn't even a joking clobber. That maybe he misjudged how tall the guy was, but from my angle, it looked like he hit him right in the face. From what I was seeing, but he's issued an apology too. I just was wondering if you had seen the video, because it was kind of, it's humorous at first, obviously, but when you realize how messed up the dude is, it is comical. But he's issuing an apology. Obviously, I'm sure a lawsuit is going to ensue, but we'll find out. The good thing about Deontay Wilder is he is going to fight Tyson Fury. He is one of the guys who is fighting dudes. He called out Joshua, and Joshua backed down. So at least he's fighting, like I said, one of the top 3 heavyweights right now in boxing, and Fury. And I think that's actually going to be a good fight. I will actually pay for that fight. I think it's going to be a super good fight between 2 heavyweights who know how to bang. And it's kind of Tyson Fury's comeback show here. He did his self-induced coma or whatever the heck he went through on that, just ate himself into a stupor and partied his life away, I guess. But I think it's going to be a good fight. I'd easily give Deontay the edge in that fight. I don't see Fury beating him, especially with his mental problems. Fedor gives Chael Sonnen his tracksuit. What the biggest honor you can give somebody in Russia, giving them your tracksuit. Good for you, Chael Sonnen, for earning that tracksuit from Fedor. I think it was, but all joking aside, I think it was a very nice gesture from Fedor to do that, to give him his tracksuit. I think it was, kind of a memento of their fight, which was a big fight, and to, especially, for Sonnen to be able to fight, to ever say he fought Fedor too, that's got to be a big feather in his cap as well. Sure, he lost, but he didn't look bad. Obviously he got whooped, but he didn't give up. I'll say that. I'll change my tone. He didn't give up. He didn't look great, but he didn't give up. I'll give him that.
And every time he looks at the tracksuit, he can remember when Fedor beat him.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it was probably a pretty good payday for Chael for that fight. But I thought it was a bit funny, you know, the biggest, you know what I mean, Russian honor, my tracksuit.
Oh, that's awesome.
What's all this stupid talk, man? All this stupid talk about Khabib and Mayweather. Give me a break, people. Like, is this, what are we going for here? It seems ridiculous to me. Why? Money, obviously number one, money. But come on, both these guys, they gotta realize that this isn't good for either one of them. It's a lose-lose situation. I go over that all the time. You come across these situations as lose-lose in life, like fighting a bum. Lose-lose situation. Never do it. Never do it. Avoid fighting a homeless person or a drug addict. I could just say avoid doing it. Lose-lose situation. You knock the dude out. Big whoop. Of course he did. He's so strung out he hasn't eaten a meal in months. You know what I mean? Whoop-de-doo. And now, guess what? You probably got staph infection from punching him and punching his mouth. Lose-lose situation. And that's what this situation is. Lose-lose situation. Carve your own path, Khabib. Don't do what Conor did and just go for the money with Mayweather. Find your own way to make money in another way, man. Carve your own path, Khabib. You know, don't do this with, especially, and Floyd too. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? You're gonna fight a grappler in boxing. Who gives a shit about that? I sure as hell don't. And I would not want to watch it. I'm sure I would have to because everyone's going to watch it and it'll be on TV and it'll be the, you know, super promoted big time. But don't do it, guys. Come on. Let's move on. It's Khabib did turn down now. They're saying Dana threw $15 million at Khabib for the rematch with Conor McGregor, which is huge money. And apparently he's turned it down. Khabib is mad at UFC and at Dana White, and deservedly so. This is the way it should be, is where a guy who was wronged and he can, you know, they're still messing around, still hasn't got his money, and they're going to try to tell him, no, you know what I mean, only Conor can do what he wants, not everybody else, just Conor. And I like that he is throwing his weight around for Khabib. Could it turn out poorly for him? Easily, very, very much so. Last time we could see Khabib in the UFC ring, but Khabib says he only will come back for the Ferguson rematch. Apparently that is on. And recently Dana did, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, Dana did say Khabib is back, but he didn't say anything about his buddy. That's the whole stipulation, obviously, why Khabib is mad at the UFC, is because they cut his buddy for slapping Conor. And I mean, and I kind of got to give it to him, maybe, you know what I mean, that he shouldn't be in the UFC for attacking Conor. I think it was a bad move on his part for him, for kind of a relatively nobody, to attack Conor McGregor like that. You know what I mean? When like I said, he was jumped the ring and they had a little scuffle with another dude, but it wasn't worthy of someone coming and just sucker punching him. And even like there was like that Russian, the Chechen leader was scolding him too, saying, you know what I mean? That's not how you do things. Especially because he was more mad that he slapped him rather than punched him. But it was kind of a weird thing. So will he get his job back or not? I don't know. But Dana is saying Khabib isn't going anywhere. They've obviously given him a bunch of money as well, and deservedly so. He's the champ. He beat Conor. I saw this crazy meme of Conor the other day, and it was like how it was actually incorrect, and it said lose 3 of your last 4 fights and make $100 million doing it. And I think the only thing that's incorrect about that stat is he'd made way, way more than $100 million for losing the last 3 out of his 4 fights. You know what I mean? Like, how weird is that? You know, how weird is that? Like, how does that even happen?
He's just popular. It doesn't matter if he wins or not.
Guess so.
People love him.
I guess they do love him. He went to the Cowboys game. He got to like throw a pee. Like everyone's making fun of his throw. Obviously, you've seen the pictures of everyone making fun of his throw. He doesn't probably never thrown a football before, but he caught it and whatever. He got to stand in the middle of the field, whatever. But he was popular. Everyone was coming up and saying hello to him and everything. There's no doubt about that. And maybe he'll eat a little bit of humble pie right now. Maybe he'll come back a better guy. Who knows? I don't want to see that rematch, though, either. I do want to see Ferguson versus Khabib. And apparently, according to Dana, that's what's going to happen next. I do not want to see Mayweather versus Khabib. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
Conor's fans will definitely pay to watch him lose.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think everyone's going to turn their back on it. How do you even begin to to do that. Maybe if it's an MMA fight, obviously just because he would totally smother Mayweather, there'd be no chance for him. But don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Greg Hardy's getting, you know what I mean? Have you heard of this guy, Greg Hardy?
No.
Apparently he's going to be getting the call up now because he did. He has been on a tear, and he has been on the, because I think he's won 2 times now. Yeah, on the Contender Series.
What's his nickname if he does have one?
It's probably not a very politically correct one for this show, that's for sure. He is the dude. He is known for. That's the reason why he got kicked out of the NFL, was because he did have like quintessential like proof that he did beat up his girlfriend like very badly too, and now he's an MMA fighter. So there was a huge backlash when he started in MMA. You know, people were saying if he shows up at your gym, don't train him. You know what I mean? He's a total piece of shit, and he totally is. He did serve his time. But it was very small, very little. It was like next to nothing. And he is a big piece of shit. But hey, if he's totally rehabbed himself, admitted his wrongs, I believe in second chances. Like Michael Vick got his second chance, and I think he did the best with it. If Greg Hardy gets a second, I'll give him a second chance. But you can't, you know, after that, then that's it. You know what I mean? But 3-0, does he get called up to the UFC? I think they have to. He's just murdering people out there. All 3 fights by KO. And his longest fight was his most recent one, which was 53 seconds. So the dude can fight. If maybe they put him up against somebody a little bit tougher, let's see what happens. But still, impressive record to begin with it. Do you think he should be you know what I mean, with those allegations, you know what I mean, the true allegations, do you think he can get a shot in the UFC? And do you think the UFC will welcome him with open arms, Kelly?
If I was the UFC, I wouldn't.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, good call. I think it just, like I said, I think maybe you get a second chance, but I think you really got to prove it. I think you got to prove it with your charity work and stuff like that. I think, you know what I mean, maybe if he's done enough to that, like a certain, you know what I mean, done enough and, you know what I mean, fought in the name of, you know, some kind of woman charity or something like that for battered women or something like that, then maybe we'll talk. But I hear you're saying, I think the bad publicity that brings with that, no one's going to deal with it. Have you heard of this Martin Ford guy?
I have not.
No, okay. This is the huge news. I'm just tired of seeing it. He's an actor. He got signed by KSW.
Oh, you know what?
KSW, yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like the huge like beefcake of a actor. He's been in a ton of movies. Kingsman is his main one.
Super recognizable face.
Yeah, exactly. What the heck? He's been in a lot of TV shows too. Viking Destiny, that's probably a European one. I think he is from Europe too. But to have him on KSW, but everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's he's gonna destroy people." I don't see it because I think he's just way too big. I think he's just so massive. I could see him just gassing out instantly. Everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be the next big thing." He's massive, first of all. Like I think he's like 320 pounds. So it's so hard to be able to cut down to 265. If they had a normal like heavyweight, you know, open weight, you know what I mean, I would say go for it. But
and he's 6'8". It's not easy punching down.
No, he's so massive. I don't see him being able to do much. He's got way too. I've seen this time and time again. You know, Mariusz Pudzianowski. Put him up against Mariusz Pudzianowski, sure. I think Mariusz Pudzianowski probably beat him up just because of the amount of experience he has now. But it'll be funny to start. I'll watch his fight, but I want all these idiots who are coming out there saying, "Oh, this guy's the next big thing." No, he's not. I can guarantee he's probably going to lose his first or his second fight. I can guarantee that. He's just way too big. It gasses him just probably to climb the stairs to get into their octagon or whatever ring they use in KSW. I'll definitely watch it when he does fight for sure. I'm very interested, but I've seen this time and time again. These super jacked up dudes, they just can't do it. They're not built for UFC because UFC is longevity and you know what I mean. You have your 30 seconds of power, and then if you run out, then he's done. You know, that's why I don't want to see him be made a fool of. You know what I mean? No one wants to see that. You know, no one wants him to get CM punked. Am I right? Dun dun dun.
Nice.
CM punked. What a terrible phrase to give to somebody.
I like it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, he is similar to CM Punk, but CM Punk's got a little bit more acting in him, and just, you know what I mean, he kept on wearing Gracie gear, so everyone assumed he had some jiu-jitsu training, and he did not at all. Just was some bum who like to wear Gracie gear. But I'll watch it. KSW, I'd love to see another KSW. I've only seen bits and pieces of them, but they put on good shows. They have good arenas over in Poland, and it's cool, really cool organization they have over there. They have some good fighters, actually. Poland likes to fight, apparently, and they just have a ton of talent of these fighters coming out of Poland. And they're going to put on many more shows to come. I think they probably will put this Martin Ford guy up against Mariusz Pudzianowski. I think it makes sense because he's such a, he was like the world's strongest man like 2 years in a row, like 10 years ago, like a long time ago. But it's like he's like basically their main star in there, and he wins fights. He gets a lot of cans. That's the reason why. But it's expected. He's older, and he's super beefed out. But he's actually a good fighter now. Surprise news coming from Eddie Alvarez signing with ONE FC. I guess UFC must have lowballed him. Probably deservedly so. I've never been a big Eddie Alvarez fan, but I thought it was a weird move for him to go to ONE FC. Obviously, it better suits him. It's a lot of easier fights for him, and especially at this time in his career where his chin is kind of going now too. You can always be in so many of those wars. I think now his chin's eventually caught up to him. Unfortunately, like Frankie Edgar as well. That would have been a good fight. I don't know if those guys ever fought, Frankie Edgar and Eddie Alvarez. Yeah, I don't think they ever did fight. That actually would be a good matchup. Very similar fighting style, East Coast dudes with a wrestling background, and they're good kickboxers. That'd be a super good matchup, huh? Make it happen, UFC.
Too late.
Ah, damn it. Make it happen, ONE FC.
There you go.
Shitty news coming across just the other day, too, is Rockhold. I think it was just last night. Rockhold's out against Chris Weidman in New York, but they're bringing Jacare in. Jacare's coming in at least. Yeah, so Jacare versus Chris Weidman. Actually, a good matchup. I don't think they've ever fought before. I don't think they have. I think like that matchup, though. A very good matchup. And the one thing I was actually, I was meant to talk about it last week, but the rumor is now really starting to get steam. And this is a fight I really like. Anderson Silva versus Conor McGregor. Yeah, I like that matchup. Bring it on. 170, maybe 180 catch weight or something like that.
I thought Anderson retired when he got popped with a PEDs.
Yeah, well, because he got like a 2-year suspension. I think he's still got some. I think he's still got some time. Whenever that happened, yeah. I could easily see that. But that fight makes sense.
That would make money.
Yeah, big time money. I think put Conor in the money fights, like the legend fights, and he's still good enough to be in the good fights. Go for it. Totally go for it. I think Conor McGregor is probably one of those guys that is a money fight guy now. So that one makes sense to me. I would watch that fight, and I would probably thoroughly enjoy it. I think everyone would thoroughly enjoy it. But whoever came up with that idea, bring it on. I like that a lot. However, the weight's going to work out. You know what I mean? They'll have to have very special rules if it's too much of a weight mismatch. I think no matter what, you can only have like a 10-pound difference if it's not in heavyweight division. If the dude's in heavyweight, then all bets are off. But I think if you're in lower weights, if it's 10 pounds difference, the fight's canceled. They just can't sanction the fight. I could be mistaken, but
did Nick Diaz fight Anderson Silva at 185?
I'm pretty sure it was 185. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 185. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Anderson could make it down to, but who knows what Conor gets to, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Conor. I could see Conor sitting at 180, but it'd be such a disadvantage for Conor that to go up that heavy to fight Anderson Silva. But Anderson Silva isn't what he used to be either. So I could see him winning that fight. Actually, I could possibly see him winning it, but just because Anderson kind of lost his killer instinct. So, somewhere around the Chael Sonnen fight. You know what I mean? I think the first one, I think he kind of lost his killer instinct, and he kind of had a lot of lackadaisical wins after that before getting too cocky against Chris Weidman. Well, with that being said, let's talk some wrestling. As I said before, Raw was great Raw to come across here, especially with going up against SmackDown 1000. I'd almost say, maybe Raw was just as good. Great event. We got this, the Strowman squad coming out and ragging on the Shield right off the bat because what would happen last week. Continuing on with trying to split them up, but I just think that when it comes to the crown jewel, if it does happen, it'll be Lesnar and Roman are gonna get these hands, and we're gonna see Braun Strowman as the champion. I think it's time. It's finally time for them to do it for him. It doesn't make sense why he isn't. They're really dangling that one out there. It was interesting that the Shield shows up without Ambrose, which they were all talking about that he wasn't going to show up with them. So they keep dangling that one in front of our faces that they're going to split them up as always with Ambrose. I could see them throwing in a spin move there, and it was going to be Roman Reigns who breaks it up, but we'll find out obviously coming up soon. Good match to start of Raw to start off with. Rollins versus McIntyre, two dudes who really can set the pace. That's for damn sure. And I think McIntyre they're using him so well right now. He's really coming into his own. But then of course Ambrose comes down to ambush Ziggler and he comes down and ambushes Ziggler for disrupting the match. And in the confusion, Drew gets curb stomped and counted out. And I bet it's going to be blamed on Ziggler as the cracks between those two dudes start showing up. I can only imagine that that's obviously what happens. We already know. Seth Rollins moves on to the World Cup. Good move for them. Obviously, Seth Rollins has to be in it. But I thought it was weird. How do they have it without Finn Balor? How's Finn Balor not in it? I think I already talked about that last week. How do they not have a World Cup without him? Great dude. Ambrose obviously showing he's a little fed up with the Shield, and I bet Seth is going to come down with him to help him in his match, and of course he did, and lose his chance in the World Cup. I kind of had predicted that was going to happen during the show, obviously. I like the Undertaker and the Brother of Steel promo. I thought that was really cool. It really felt like the 90s again with that promo in the back room with the cool purple lights and the steam coming up. I thought that was a really cool move. You don't see good promos like that anymore. They've just totally been pushed aside, like you see in Lucha Underground. Like how they kind of make it like a movie. A little bit. I think that's what you got to do with it. You got to make these characters bigger than life, and I think that's what does it. I don't know how Kane became a politician and all this. Like the dude's the mayor. This guy's Kane. He's still wrestling currently, but he's the mayor of Knox County in Tennessee, like the actual mayor of the town. Like for real life, not a part of wrestling at all. Like it's not a part of the skit. It wasn't, but he can't talk still. I don't know. He's like the mayor, but he lost his ability to talk. Kane's talking now is terrible. He sounds like a lawyer talking now. It just does not work. Sucks. But of course, I bet when they get to Crown Jewel, I bet they're gonna get their redemption against DX, and DX will rest in peace. It's the Undertaker for you.
Scary.
I'm not sure why Nia and Ember are being teamed up together. I don't know, man. It's just weird. It doesn't fit for me. It seems like they're just tossed together. I think they stand too well on their own. I think that's the reason why it's a weird pairing, because I think on their own they don't need to be a team. It kind of just brings them both way, way down and mutes them both in a weird way. But wow, did they ever get a jobber pairing into the return of Tamina and Dana Brooke? You can always tell, like in wrestling, Kelly, like both people that get like their entrance when they come down. It's like a big entrance and the crowd's cheering and their whole stage thing and they come down. But if there's somebody already in the ring and they didn't get that, you can guarantee you they're gonna lose. It's called like jobbing. They're the jobbers of the match. And that's what's gonna happen. So to me, it's like just announced, Tamina and Dana Brooke. I'm like, they're gonna definitely lose. And they put on a good match, though. They did put on a good match. But interesting ending with because they were kind of announcing who's gonna be in the Evolution Battle Royale, which is more like a Royal Rumble, really, with how many people they have in it now. Because if it's a battle royale with all those girls in the ring at once, that's going to be there's not going to be enough room in the ring. They've already announced so many people. I think they got to do more like a Royal Rumble. But they had obviously, I guess, so Ember Moon tries to pick up Nia Jax and throw her over the top, kind of in a gesture about the Evolution, because Evolution's next week. And then Tamina and Nia get tossed out, and then Dana tosses out Ember Moon. So it's kind of a weird, I guess they're going to give Dana a little bit of a shove here. I'm really tired of Dana Brooke. She's absolutely atrocious on the mic. Terrible mic skills. In ring, she's so stiff. In ring, it's just so awkward. It's just the unfortunate. 10, 15, 20 years ago, Dana Brooke would have had a great career, but the talent level is so high right now in the WWE, and it's so deep. People like her, unfortunately, have to step aside and let the other people. There's nothing wrong with that. And not everyone can be the best, but she's got to step aside and let and let other people move up, because everything about her is terrible when it comes to the game. I do love the announcement of the Battle Royale for the girls with, Tamina, Iconics, Ember Moon, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Alicia Fox, Asuka, Lana, Carmella, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Naomi, and Tori Wilson. I know they did announce a few other ones, I think at the Mae Young Classic later on. I can't remember. I think I wrote them down here somewhere. I'll get to that later on. But a whole ton of other women have announced it. That's what I'm saying. There's so many women in this. I think they got to make it almost into a battle royale, or maybe just bring in a group of people afterwards. That's not a bad idea, actually. That's not a bad idea. Do like one pile, like 12 people in the ring, and then after 5 minutes, bring another 12 people in the ring. I like that idea. Talk to me. Talk to me. My people talk to your people, WWE. We'll work something out here. New style Royal Rumble. With the Bella attack, has really pushed Ronda over. The crowd was so crazy for Ronda. I don't know if they're piping this in, Kelly, man. You should see it. Ronda is so popular right now with the crowd. She was always kind of been pretty popular, just because she was like the new girl, and and the new it factor. But she is super popular right now. She really got over, and I think with the Bellas attacking her, it has made it even more so. I was very impressed with the response the crowd gave her. I think it was in Philadelphia too, of all places. They're very big wrestling town is Philadelphia. Philadelphia loves wrestling. That's where ECW originated from. But I did not expect the reception they gave to Ronda Rousey. But I do like they're like kind of just going back and forth, making fun of each other, and Ronda said the only door Nikki's knocked down, or she's like, I knocked down doors in UFC, I knocked down doors and judo and the Olympics, you know what I mean? And it's like, the only door you knocked down was John Cena's. And the whole crowd like erupted. I thought it was pretty good. Whoever wrote her that line really did a good pat yourself on the back, because I really like that. And then he's like, and he threw you out the same door. So I thought it was a little good move for a little chat back to build up with their rivalry. I thought it was really funny, like how Baron Corbin goes and tries to stack the deck against Kurt Angle to line him up with a beating against AOP for a handicap match. So he dresses up like this, or you think he dresses up like the Conquistador, and he goes down, and then there's some jobber in the Conquistador suit was just getting his ass kicked by AOP for 5 minutes, and then he comes out and Angle slams Baron Corbin. It's good to see Kurt Angle doing something. I like Kurt Angle. Never had anything against the guy. Hard-working dude. Just didn't have the best. He was a gold medal Olympist. Olympian. He'll always be remembered for that. But his wrestling career was cut short, I think, just due to some neck injuries that were plagued by unfortunateness that a lot of people have. And in both countries, America and Canada, is the opioid addiction, unfortunately. It's just very unfortunate, and Kurt Angle is one of them. Kelly, why did you take off your pants?
My balls was hot.
Don't we all have that problem? Don't we all? It's not commonly. I guess it's more of a summertime thing. Or if you just fought, dude, 15 minutes. My balls is hot. Oh shit.
Derek Lewis.
One thing I know, it's the thing, I called this episode. I called a few things in this episode. One thing I know more than MMA, and I know a lot about MMA, is fucking wrestling. And I called it. Drew, I even wrote down the notes beforehand. Of course, Drew comes down. Seth comes to help, and Seth is helping Ambrose out. He pushes him, and he gets back in the ring, and then Ziggler hits him with a super kick, and he loses opportunity for the World Cup. I totally called it, and of course it's gonna make him mad. It's a bit predictable, WWE, when it comes to that. But Roman comes down, has to break it up, of course, and it's an interesting turn event. I know that, like I was saying earlier, how does Finn Balor not make it to the World Cup? How was he not even in it, didn't even get a chance? I know it's stacked, but still, come on. Finn Balor that World Cup tournament just oozes Finn Balor. It's right up his alley. But I kind of did like the move with Lashley. I think maybe because Lashley came out and interrupted Finn Balor. But they didn't really interact much after that. I think that's a good matchup. I do like that. I think Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley, they both can work off each other very, very well. It's an easy move because because how light Finn is, but how athletic he is, but also at the same time how athletic Bobby is. I think it's a good matchup for them to work a rivalry. I think that rivalry works, but poor Tyler Breeze has to go out. And like I was talking about jobbers before, Bobby Lashley. Tyler Breeze is really cool, actually. He's from Kelowna, but he's kind of got like a weird angle. I don't like his angle, obviously. Tyler Breeze is like the pretty, super, super pretty boy. He's got like a little cool thing where he does like I didn't mind the fashion police segments. I didn't mind them, but he's like the pretty boy. But he's from Kelowna. He's actually a really nice guy. So it's cool to have a local guy, but he just got his ass absolutely handed to him. Really shitty for that. And then of course Natty comes. We see when we talk about the calling it again. Natty comes out. When she's going to be fighting the Riot Squad, and of course she brings out reinforcements. And I guess we return to Sasha Banks from purgatory, whatever she did. We'll find out. Elias Brayton as roadie beforehand was perfect. Oh, they're just doing so many good things with Elias. I'm just eating this shit up, man. I couldn't wait for him to tear into that shithole town of Philadelphia, man. It just was so good, and they just booed the hell out of him. And he did it by saying like how Carson's Wentz's injury, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, is nothing compared to having to play in front of Philly fans. And it's just so awesome. Like how he gets away with this shit is just amazing. And then Philadelphia has like a new mascot called Gritty. And he's like this terrible mascot. He's like orange. He looks like a very like methed out Muppet. Terrible mascot, and he was making fun of Gritty too. So I really like the Elias move. Super awesome for Elias for always tearing into town. I just eat that up. I just love it. But giving Apollo Crews the mic? Wow. I think it was I don't know if they're going to actually push him with Elias or they're just bringing out random people to come beat up Elias. But Apollo Crews needs to stay as far away from a microphone as possible. But he did make some good points. I kind of like how Apollo came out and said a little bit. I don't like the whiny guy saying, what about me? Where's my push? Where he was coming out saying how he's seen all these dudes pass him, and Elias is definitely one of them. But it's because Apollo Crews cannot talk at all. I've seen a lot of wrestlers come and go, and they have a little bit of mic skills, but Apollo is not one of those dudes. He's got zero mic skills. He is terrible on the mic. Never let him use the mic skills. But he does it. He did this crazy gorilla press slam, and Apollo Crews is like a smaller guy, but he's just shredded. And Elias isn't a little guy. Like Elias probably weighs 250 pounds, and he had him held up in a gorilla press slam for a good 30 seconds. It was crazy. The power on Apollo Crews was awesome. It was a cool little moves, but Apollo Crews is just terrible. Please go away. Great closer. Match between the Shield and Strowman Squad. These matches keep entertaining, and I think they keep bringing them up. But unfortunately, this is going to be the last time. Unfortunately, we're going to see it with the Strowman Squad getting into it. It's the end of a short, very very short-lived era. I guess it didn't. The head-up people didn't see it was going to last long enough. I don't know. I thought it was working. They built these cracks a little too early, but what happens is Ziggler loses because they're always making fun of Ziggler because he is the smallest guy, and I hate Ziggler too, so they can go ahead and make fun of him. But Braun Strowman's just like this huge, massive dude. He's like just gigantic, and he grabs him and he's like yelling at him, like, "This is what you did!" He's just like, That was cool with Braun Strowman. It's like, like during the matches, you can just hear him like clear as day because he's so boisterous, so like booming voice, and he slams down Dolph Ziggler, but then Drew McIntyre comes out of nowhere and hits him with a Claymore kick, and so we obviously that's the end of the Strowman Squad. So I hope not, man. I hope the Strowman Squad sticks together. I thought it was very good. I thought it was way too soon to split them up, but they like to split up these crews too soon. Even like the Wyatts. Maybe that's what we're gonna do. Where's Bray Wyatt been? Maybe they'll bring him back with a new team or something. Let's hope so, because I think the Wyatt family was a really good stable. So let's see what happens. Maybe they bring him back with Braun. Who knows? Or maybe possibilities are endless when it comes to Bray Wyatt. On to SmackDown 1000. 1000th episode of SmackDown. It was good. It was good. I expected a little bit more. It was a hard time, I think, to cram in all that for 2 hours. I think that's, the 3-hour show would have been better. They should have done a 3-hour special. I think that's what they should have done with the 1000, because it just seemed like it was so rushed. They opened it up with Truth TV. I love the 7-second dance-offs. I love R-Truth. Stephanie comes down, and she's interrupted by Shane O'Mac, of course. And then here comes the chairman of the board, Vince McMahon. He comes out. He looks healthier than ever. I don't know. The guy's got to be 80 or something. I don't know what kind of stem cell research he's been doing, or bathing in the blood of virgins. I don't know what he's been doing, but Vince McMahon looks really healthy. He had kind of some like weird eye problem like a few years ago, and now it seems to be gone altogether. So good for him to come down. They did a little dance off. It was a good little segment. I liked it. I thought it was an odd pairing with the first match of the Usos versus Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. I thought that was like, oh, that's weird. You know what I mean? Why did they put these guys together? And it made sense throughout the match. You know what I mean? It's to kind of get, you know what I mean? Obviously, one guy, either AJ or Daniel Bryan, since they're so likable, they have to kind of create some kind of animosity between each other, because they are such nice dudes and everyone loves them. They have such a huge fan base between each other. They're trying to set people apart, and they're trying to make it so somebody has something to hate about one or the other, or they want one person to flip. Oh, you know, I was a Daniel Bryan fan, but now I'm an AJ Styles fan. I think that's what they're going for here. So it was a good move to have it the way it ended, the end the way it did with the Usos winning. Usos picking up a big win. They've been a big part of SmackDown too. Return of Evolution, I guess was okay. You know what I mean? I thought it was super anticlimactic. I don't know what kind of moves they were going with it. They barely let Ric Flair talk at all. Randy Orton brought some good smack talk. You know, he was just saying, oh, he's been there the whole time. Everyone else was just, you know, dicking around how Batista had been in a makeup chair longer than he'd been in the ring. So I thought that was kind of funny. But speaking of Batista, who let him talk for like 20 minutes? That's what happened to the whole damn show. Someone let Batista talk and say where the hell he wants to. I thought it was ridiculous. Man, it went on forever. This guy's won this many championships. And then this guy, you know what I mean? And then the only thing I liked about it was the end. How he was saying, the only thing you know what I mean, when he was talking about Triple H, the only thing accomplishment Triple H has never done was beat Batista. So I thought that opens up for a future match between them, and I like that match. I think it could easily work for both dudes. You know, Batista can come and go with his acting career, which has obviously been very lucrative for him. He's actually an MMA fighter too. Batista's 2-0. He obviously fought some cans. He's just a huge shredded beast, you know what I mean, who can beat dudes up. And I think he was a bouncer too, so he knows how to fight. He knows how to. I think he bounced for like a long time too. So probably seen some shit. That was one of the toughest dudes. Was Rick Rude. Was what everyone always says was pound for pound one of the toughest dudes. That was a wrestler, and no one would mess with him. He wasn't like the biggest dude, but he just was the likes to fight and could fight guy. He just knew how to fight, and it was kind of a really cool story about Rick Rude, just how I used to bounce with the guys from Demolition, and how they were both like both the Demolition guys were like, you know, we could fight, but we weren't really fighters. We're just huge dudes, but Rude really liked to fight, and he could fight. So I thought that was really cool. Ravishing Rick Rude, one of the coolest wrestlers of all time. Way too early with that guy too.
Batista's also beat up aliens as Drax on Avengers. No, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. Exactly. That's where he got his money. Obviously, you know what I mean.
Just beating everything up.
He was in the event most recently, the Avengers one too. The Galactus one. I mean, not the Galactus one. The Thanos one.
Okay.
What the hell it's called?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he gets killed right away though. I haven't watched it. I haven't actually watched it.
He makes an appearance.
Exactly. He was like someone killed in the background.
Then they have him in all the trailers, right?
Exactly. He does personally. He's like, look at me. I'm in this video, everybody. Way too long though. You can tell in the next match, Aiden English. I didn't see Aiden English coming down and messing around with Rusev, costing him his chance in the World Cup. I'm surprised that rivalry is still going on. I thought it would have been done by now, but I guess they're still trying to bring it out there. I'm very weirded out by it. How Aiden English has still been on this long. I feel really bad for Rusev if he has to be in a rivalry with Aiden English for any extended period of time. That's such a waste of his talent. Dude should be fighting for the championship belts. I love Rusev, and I think he's got it. He can talk. He's actually quite quick-witted. That's why I really like Rusev. He's very funny and quick-witted, and he's just a likable dude. He's actually a super nice guy in real life too, and his in-ring ability is amazing too. I just love his in-ring ability. I think he's been hampered a few times by bad injuries, I think that's the only problem. Every time he gets enough steam, he gets a bad injury and he gets put back to the bottom of the list. So hopefully we see Rusev get up higher. He's deservedly so. I love Edge. I got chills when I heard his music, man. I just loved his music. He actually had like an actual song. That's was the coolest thing about wrestling. You know, you don't see that. You don't see it anymore. You don't get these cool songs. Everyone kind of has these. It's kind of weird because especially if you watch wrestling, and now these wrestling fans will know this too. It's like when a guy first comes out, he'll have like just a generic song, and then they'll tweak it. So next time he'll come out, it'll be a little bit different. And next time he'll come out, it'll be a little bit different. But they have songs that have any pop. It's just some MIDI song basically. It's just you know what I mean, verse chorus. They used to have got songs that actually meant something, and Edge had that really cool song. You know, just how when it was a written song too. It was funny. It's a funny story. It was that Creed band. Yeah, it was Creed. Remember that terrible Creed band? This is not his song though, but it was everybody from that band except for the lead singer started up a metal band.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And that's his song, and it's actually really, really good. I love that song, but for Edge, there's a guy who had his career cut way, way too short. He looks so good still too. I guarantee he could jump back in if it wasn't for his bad neck and wrestle again. Obviously, he wants his enjoyment of life, and good for him to be able to do that. But man, is Edge way too soon. What a great wrestler, and I just got chills down my spine. I just loved his music. Best music running for a long, long time. I'm a metal fan, so that's obviously the reason why as well. But really, really cool to see him come out. But it was good. I really like Becky, man. They're making Becky ruthless, and she said something to Edge because like a touch base. Edge, he had to retire Kelly because that's what happens. The number one thing always happens to wrestlers: your neck gets fucked. You know what I mean? Your discs get all messed up. So if you wrestle too much, you could eventually become paralyzed, right? There's just too much wobble in there. So Edge is like saying, you know, he's like, you know, you gotta calm it down a little bit. I want to be a voice of reason for you. And she's like, get out of my ring. And she's like, but don't hurt your neck on the way out. I was like, whoa, cold-blooded. She's cold-blooded. Love that move. I thought it was a really good move by Becky. I was straight fire, telling like it is. Good move by Becky. Crazy move for the bar. Wow, we don't just set the bar, we are the bar. Good move by the bar, winning the tag team champs. But man, did they ever take some hard bumps in that match. Both teams, man, they really took some bad spills, especially Sheamus for how bad his neck is. Speaking of another guy with a bad neck, Sheamus may have to retire because his neck is bad. But I wasn't surprised at all. As soon as, like, of course, the Big Show comes out, and Big Show's known for being the biggest flip-flopper from heel to face, face to heel. I knew as soon as Big Show came out, he was not going to be helping out New Day. He was going to come out there to beat them up and help out the bar. Seen that coming from a mile away. I think a lot of people were on the same page with that. And a lot of wrestling fans were like, let's see this is definitely going to happen. You know what I mean? But good move by Big Show, and it helped out the bar. Good for the bar to win the tag team belts on a monumental night like that. But what a great match. Shinsuke versus one of my favorite of all times, Rey Mysterio. I think my top two wrestler, I say all time. If not, top two. Second favorite wrestler of all time, Rey Mysterio with a bullet. Absolutely love Rey Mysterio. Huge fan. And how he's doing so good at his age. He's in Lucha Underground later seasons as well, Kelly. What an innovator. And it just was, I got chills down my spine, especially when he was on Shinsuke's shoulders, when he was in the corner going for that Frankenstein or the Hurricanrana. I just love that. He used to do that all the time. They used to be one of his special moves. And super cool move by both those guys. They especially when Rey Mysterio kind of like that belly flop out of the ring, kind of like a seal slide on his stomach. I thought that was really, really cool. And they really took it to the house. Both those guys, they really did a great match. And especially for both of them, that was definitely both their first match ever together. They showed. They didn't show it. That's for damn sure. And a very good honor, a very big honor for Rey Mysterio to represent Eddie Guerrero as a longtime friend with that frog splash to win it off the side. He did a little bit extra Eddie Guerrero flair there, which he kind of does. He does that move off the side, but he never does like the whole frog star splash. So I thought that was really cool of Mysterio to have the opportunity to come out and do that for for Eddie. I was a huge Eddie Guerrero fan too. He was a very, very influential wrestler when I was a kid. Just all the moves he did, but just the way how he would get a crowd going. No one could piss off people better than Eddie Guerrero. He had that face, but he had that charisma and that style where he was such a bad guy too, and people still loved him for it. Those are the dudes you know got it. And Eddie Guerrero was one of those guys that he had it. And he was a little guy too. That's one thing I always did to knock when I was a kid. I wanted to be a wrestler so bad, but I wasn't the biggest. Especially, I didn't peak until I was like 18. I really gained like height and mass when I was like 18. But until then, I was actually quite small. And I always thought, like, I'm never going to do it because I'm way too small. I can never be a wrestler, so I'm just going to give up on this dream. You know what I mean? And dudes like that, and there was only too far and few between were these special dudes. And I was like, I'm not that great of a flipper, like Rey Mysterio. I couldn't really do flips that well, but I was still had great in-ring moves. Me and my buddies had a backyard wrestling league, and we loved it. We absolutely loved it. It was talk of our little neighborhood, and everyone would come to watch, and we had tons and tons of fun, and a bunch of other kids were involved, and we had storylines and entrances and stupidness, and we had a shed and ladders to jump off of, and it was a lot of fun. To talk about like I was touching base earlier on, the music of the WWE alone, let alone the music of the world, that's take me to my take this week, is really music. I want to talk more about music on this show. I'm a huge music fan. Love it. But I am a bit of a music snob when it comes to it. I think that's one thing is to bring a co-host in and talk more about music with. But I love music. It's just, it's hard to find some time about it. But I listen to music all the time. Like most human beings, I think, love music and listen to music all the time. But I am a musician. So I think I have I have an allowance to be a bit of more of a snob than other people. And just by saying that statement, it makes me a total piece of shit. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm not mad at music. I'm disappointed. I think the biggest problem we have with music right now is the diversity. We have no music diversity. And what I mean by that is that we have electronic dance music, which is huge right now. And then you have pop and rap and hip hop, and you don't really have anything else. You have a little bit of rock in there, no metal, you know what I mean? But I think that's what we're missing these days is especially in the 90s, early 2000s to a smaller degree as well. But in the 90s, you had such a diversity. There were so many different genres. There were so many different types of music that everyone could really get on board with something and everyone could really like something. I think with just right now, it's just so weird. Like, even Kelly, for myself, I was trying to think all this week, what's that really good band that's come out recently, like last 3 years, last 5 years, that's really had the new longevity that's going to carry that torch of music on in the future. Exactly. That's something, maybe like Bruno Mars, but Bruno Mars, I think, has been around for quite some time already. He's one of those guys is really, really set the world on fire. Maybe I think he's probably the closest. And I'm not even the hugest Bruno Mars fan. I like his music. I wouldn't go buy his album. I like it when his songs come on the radio. But I got nothing against him at all. I'd go to see one of his shows. If maybe somebody paid for me or something. I know they're very expensive tickets to go to. But I'm just trying to think. Who is that person who's going to carry the torch moving forward? And then I think that's my whole point. Is that these bands that are coming out, they're turning into more of these one-hit wonder type bands, and that's all we're seeing. With the exception of, there is a few exceptions, but I'm just saying, who is that new band? We're not seeing these new people churning out with all these great hits, and music is a tough thing right now. Everything's possibly been done. I think that's what it could be, but in a time when EDM and mumble rap is at the top of the charts, I think even anybody's kind of got to look and say, a song written by a DJ that's just kind of a repeat of bells and whistles and of like air horns, and then a guy who even, I don't know how anybody likes the mumble rap. Who likes that? It's more of the music behind it, really, than some dude mumbling through it. Rock is on the ropes, and metal is on life support. Heavy metal, my true favorite, it's absolutely on life support. There's no good metal bands anymore. None at all, and I hope people send me in some ideas. If you're that one dude who subscribed to our show and you like metal, so send in some thoughts to us. and let me know, because I listen to a lot of new metal and it doesn't have the it factor. It doesn't have that it. It's fast. It's talented. It's got a hook, but it doesn't have that it factor. It doesn't have, were the songs that actually meant something. I think that's what it is. Everyone's trying to be super technical and make it all sound super crisp. You lose that wow factor. You lose the it factor when it comes to it. And that's one thing when it comes to music. You either got it or you don't. There's no in between. Some people find it for a little while and then lose it, or you catch steam and get it, keep juggling that ball, and you hold on to it. Some people just never find it. They got all the talent, all the gear, all the money in the world, but they never get the traction when it comes to it. There used to be a time when a band would release an album and it'd be front to back. It'd be 8 songs front to back. Every song is a hit. It kind of told the story. You never see that anymore. That was the coolest thing. You're lucky if you have, or let alone an artist that has like an album with more than 2 hits. Now we just kind of see singles. People are just releasing a really shitty album around one good song. So it's basically like a single now, and I think that's what we're seeing with a lot of these newer rappers. We're seeing other people, like Wiz Khalifa's album was apparently really, really, really good. But still, how many handful of songs are you going to pick off that? 3 or 4? I think it was like 18 songs on the album. So, that doesn't, so then your percentage is quite low then. And it doesn't really make it look all that great. But how many of those bands are going to have like hit after hit after hit for multiple albums, or maybe a handful of hits? Lady Gaga was kind of like that too, where she had some good stuff coming out, but you don't see that longevity. She's kind of on the ropes now too, without really having released. She's just enjoying her fame as well, maybe being a movie star. But you don't see like U2 really had that, and U2 is one of those bands that really had, especially in the 90s, they had just album after album after album. I'm not even the biggest U2 fan, but the numbers are there, super super popular. I'm not too old. Let's just say that. I'm not being one of those guys like, music today is crap. Back in my day, you had to put a piece of wax on a spinny table, and then there was a dusty old needle that would bring the music, but you had to crank it. I'm not that old. Come on. I didn't live through records. I'm not going to say my age, but I didn't live through records. When I was a kid, it was obviously tapes, and CDs were just coming around too. But I am a bit of a music snob. But I'm just saying, I'm just trying to think of bands that have come out recently and they just have all that hitting all those marks. It's just not out there anymore. And I think that's the problem with music right now. It's just becoming this dead-eyed fish that's washed up on shore and is just kind of rotting in the sun. I'm just not a big fan of the scene right now. And somebody's got to step up and do it. Somebody's got to step up and kind of take the bull by the horns here. What I've been doing to just suffice to find new music, I've been going back in time. I've been I've been digging through the piles of history and finding a lot of gems. I've really been digging up on James Brown recently and all his cool stuff. I'll just download a whole discography of a artist and just really dissect it all and really take it all in. Just listen to just that. It's actually turned out some pretty good. Found a lot of good stuff. It's been some pretty good stuff I've found. It used to mean something. I think that's what it is too. It used to really mean something to be a rock star, and now it doesn't. The hipsters took over rock, and now they look like farmers that were in a tractor accident, and they had to turn to music because they couldn't work on the farm anymore. It's absolutely atrocious. I could have a whole show on how much I hate hipsters, but that is what the problem is. That being a rock star isn't cool anymore. Being a rock star makes you look like a hipster, and no one wants to look like a hipster, except for the hipsters, I guess. But it's bad, Kelly, when country is like the most popular music out there right now. There's something wrong. I know country is very popular, and it is atrocious. If you want to talk about bad music, that is bad, and it is so popular. Country and Western is spinning in its grave right now. I love country and Western, and don't get those two mixed up ever. Because new country is nothing. It's like pop country is nothing like country and Western. I love country and Western. That was really, really, really good music of an era in time that you will never ever see again with raw talent. Those people had zero vocals add-ons, coaches or lemon juices to use, and especially when it came to the recording gear, it was the first stuff that ever came out. But how those people performed that well with that type of gear, it just brings my point. Music is dead right now. People can argue all they want. Bring on your arguments. Say whatever you want to say. Gladly challenge it. Music is dead right now. It's not what it used to be. It's just definitely not. And I'm not just getting old. I'll tell you, it's not what it used to be. People aren't cranking out the hits, and you aren't seeing these really, really cool, diverse people. And that's what I want to see, diversity when it comes to music. Music's going to live forever, but diversified music. I don't want to have eventually just one song everyone's got to listen to. That sucks. I kind of battled with that take for a little while. Should I bring it up? Am I going to sound like an old piece of shit? I don't know. So
You did. I was kidding.
Good, that's what I was going for. I was shooting for that. All right, mission accomplished. I
saw Venom today.
Oh yeah, how was it?
It was pretty good. It's weird because the audience score was like 88%.
Right.
But the critics are saying it was 30%.
Wow.
So it's one of those weird things where I don't know what to expect when I went in there. No, I thought it was well written. The special effects are really good. The whole movie was really good. Like, I had absolutely no issues with it. I don't know what the issue is with the critic score.
I thought it was going to be hard because it was a kind of a weird portrayal for Tom Hardy. You know what I mean? He's like usually plays a tough guy and stuff. So with this one, he's kind of got to play like a weirdo type thing. So, but from what I was hearing from other people, he did an amazing job.
He did,
yeah. That's what I was hearing from everybody. He did an absolutely amazing job. Yeah. Good for him. He's a good actor, and we'll see a lot more of him for sure.
And even like after the credits, a lot of people were leaving, but they had a little, maybe a trailer, a little teaser for the next movie with Carnage.
Oh, cool, sweet, nice. Yeah, I think we were talking about that earlier. Would Carnage be in the next one? And I thought he was gonna get his own show, which I thought was very, very weird. To have a whole Carnage show, like a whole Carnage movie, I thought would be an odd move, but. Obviously makes sense for him to be with Venom, you know what I mean, to see what kind of wacky stuff they can pull out, you know what I mean, and with the technology we have today, I think it could work out perfectly. Let's talk some MMA. Like I said, at least I got to watch some MMA. I didn't have to watch Professional Fight League, you know what I mean. Even though it does look okay, I'll give it a shot maybe next time around. But I was kind of busy on Saturday, so I didn't get to watch it. It's not easily on TV, unfortunately. When it comes to it, but I did get to watch Fight Nights Global 90. It actually was a really good event. I was really impressed with the Russians and what they did with it. It was kind of a weird show. First off, the commentary is the absolute worst. It's just one dude, and he's just, his voice is just terrible. I think he needs some help. I think that's what he needs. That he needs some help. I think he'd be a better color guy and a better interpreter. But I think they need a play-by-play guy. And right here, hit me up, Fight Nights Global. Fly me over to St. Petersburg. I'll do your guys' shows anytime. But he's like talking, like every time a fighter comes out, he's like talking like over top of the ring announcer. And he's just listing off their stats. He's not even really saying anything meaningful. He's just like, this fighter is 6'3" and weighs 107 kilos. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but it's just like, I don't need. I'll see that later on. I don't really need you to say that right now while the other guy's talking. The ring announcer was actually very, very good. The ring announcer had a really booming voice. He did a very professional job, and he was really on his game. But the commentator was just atrocious. Hit me up. I'll help you guys out. I'll help you guys out for very, very good fee. Very good fee. Gotta fly Kelly over though too. Me and Kelly, and we'll help you guys show out. Give us a call. It's a cool show though because it's a big arena. The crowd is filled with really because we're not from Russia. There's and they have their place is so big. They have different stars and different TV shows and everything than we do. So the whole crowd is filled with these eccentric movie stars, I'm assuming, and rock stars. I don't know. I have no clue, but there's a lot of people there dressed very oddly, but I think it filled the crowd. I thought it was a very cool touch. I thought it was a really different world over there in Russia, and you guys do your thing. It was weird because I didn't realize I was watching the whole card because I thought when on my listing It said it was only on for like another 40 minutes. I'm like, oh damn, how did I miss it? And it's going on, and I realized that's just the undercard. But then it was still the rest of the show was on afterwards, but it just wasn't listed properly. My stupid listing, my stupid cable provider just always this to me all the time. They're not listing my shows, and it's all funked up. How I stumbled across it was just by luck, and it was good luck. It was definitely good luck. But they'll have like two fighters come out to the same song. And one song was sung by like these soldiers. So they have like these Russian songs, like as a whole, like they're having like a concert, and but they're like in like the entrances, like the walkways into the stadium, and they got like microphones. And at first I thought this was all real. I'm like, oh man, this is all real. This shit's crazy. Like, so they got microphones, but it's all. I found out later on it's all lip synced. Everyone's just lip syncing, of course, right? But there's like these soldiers singing. They're like this super like sad like Russian song, and they're like just like panning to each different one, different entrance. I thought it was like the coolest thing. But both fighters came out to it. It was actually pretty good. But the other one, then the other fight, they had this weird rapper chick with a shaved head too, and so like she's walking out with both the fighters singing and walking at the same time. But that's when I realized they were all Milli Vanilli-ing us, because she, for her first few lines, her mic wasn't working. So you just would hear her actual voice, and it sounded terrible. And then I realized, then her actual song, her actual voice kicked in. I'm like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. They had us all. They had me fooled. Fool me twice, Russia. But it was like the main event of the undercard, and it was Zugarov versus Kurzanov, and it was actually, these guys came to fight. It was a really good fight. They both, these guys, that's why I knew these guys were tough, because they both got their own entrance music. Each guy got different entrance music. And it was a wild fight with the Tajiki fighter winning by ground and pound from back mount. It was a really cool fight by both those dudes. Hats off. They really went to town. Now the next guy comes out, and the soldiers are now rapping. So now the soldiers are in the thing, and they're coming up with some like rap song. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And the DJ keeps hitting that air horn button ever randomly too. Like, it doesn't matter if it was his song or anybody else's song. It was like a DJ who was kind of being in charge of all the arena music, and he was terrible. But so he keeps hitting that wow wow wow. He's just randomly hitting that button throughout everyone's entrance. It didn't work with a lot of fighters. And then Russia is not known for its rappers. But there were so many of them. Everyone had these Russian rappers coming out with them, and they were atrocious. And it was really, really funny touch. I did enjoy it. Keep them coming. Bring out everyone you got, Russia. It's not my thing, but I did enjoy it. One thing I noticed that was weird is that no one was drinking. Maybe it's a rule that booze isn't allowed at these events or something. I could see why. They don't want people getting out of hand, and it's a good move for them. I'm surprised by that. Maybe people weren't drinking to excess or something, but this is Russia we're talking about here, or anywhere in the world, people are going to drink to excess and get out of hand. That happens everywhere around the world. It happens quite commonly here. At big events like the monster trucks couldn't have booze because people were getting out of hand, like the monster trucks. Yeah, So I could see Russia having a booze ban on MMA events. The next fight was crazy because this dude gets one punched, regains his composure, and gets a crazy sweep to mount, but then he ends up losing the match to armbar. It was a really cool match. Everyone came to fight. There was really, really good fights, a lot of the fights. And then they had a face-off. You remember Ali Bago-Atinov? He was like the 205. He fought Demetrius Johnson at 205 a few years back. Obviously, he's Russian. And he had like a weird face-off with another 125 guy, and they got into it, and they kind of went over the top with it. But it's like, you're both 125. You know what I mean? So it's like, one guy's like holding them back, right? You know what I mean? And then so as soon as someone lets him go, he runs for it, and then it's like one guy's holding him back again. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, guys, just chill out. And like the owner of Fight Nights is like, Ali, stop, Ali, stop. You know what I mean? He's like talking in English to him too. It's just like, it looked like it was staged, and it didn't go over well. It didn't really work over well. It was weird, and when they're getting into it in the middle of the ring, they keep panning over to Khabib's dad, who is in the crowd. And just like, I didn't realize Khabib's dad is such a mega star now. I have no clue. I didn't know he was a star beforehand, but I don't know if maybe he's a star now. I have no clue, but he was all over the place. He was involved with everything at that event. I thought it was very, very weird. So I thought it was odd, but the main event was actually an amazing main event. These guys had a bit of heat between each other. It was Magomed Ismailovov versus Vladimir Minanev. And it was good, really, really good fight. The main event was amazing. Both these dudes fought their asses off, but they had some heat beforehand too. And I think that really, really worked between the two guys. But it was weird because Magomed's music, he's like a Dagestani wrestler. He comes out, obviously, you know what I mean? He comes out and he's got like a bear growling just as his music. It's not even music. It's just sound effects of like a bear growling. That was it. You know what I mean? So I thought, like, man, what a weird move.
But you remember it.
I do, yeah, exactly. Best music that night, that's for damn sure. But in the first round, the Vladimir guy, he was a kickboxer, so it was a good mismatch. He starts landing some good shots. The Magomed was just following up with, he had an answer for every shot and was taking him down. But Vladimir ended up getting a nice toss in the first round for a takedown and started feeding him shots along the fence. Was his only saving grace for Vladimir was the bell. When it came to that round, because he was really kind of getting beat up. He couldn't really get him off. The second round, Magomed isn't messing around either. He just goes straight for a shot, and he shot out of a cannon for that takedown. But Vladimir got up, and it looks like Magomed had really blown his tank from all that ground and pound in the first round. That heavy pace that they had been employing, both these guys had been employing on each other. And then you can see in the end of the second round when Vladimir stuffed that takedown and landed a few punches, you could tell that Magomed's gas tank was just about empty. It was kind of weird because when Vladimir got back to his corner, it's like his corner was like fighting each other. They were literally like having to like pull each other off because of who wanted to yell in this dude's ear, you know, for what to do. The third round, Magomed is completely on fumes and he's just eating punches and kicks at this point, taking a lot of leg kicks. Vladimir now landed a nice Superman kick, but that seemed to actually wake up Magomed momentarily only. At the end of that round, Vladimir walloped up Magomed with a big overhead and rated. Only wobbled him a little bit, but he was still hanging in there. Fourth round, we're seeing again the opposite, is Magomed going for takedowns and just getting stuffed every time because he's just so tired, and his legs are getting chewed up now by those super hard leg kicks from Vladimir, and they're really starting to add up. But at this point, I still only had the fight was 2 rounds to 2. So easily, you know, that's why I was so intrigued by this fight. These guys really went too, and it was, you know, I mean, the first guy had the takedowns. Magomed had the first 2 rounds with the ground and pound. Second 2 rounds were up to Vladimir with the stand up, and it was a really good showing of these guys. Just true grit. They were both taking some heavy shots, and no one was backing down, and that's what I really loved about this matchup and this fight. But the fifth round, both fighters come in swinging. Magomed seemed to find some kind of little bit of gas left in the tank there. But Vladimir just keeps landing those knees. He's landed a few really hard knees right in the chest, and that one dropped him. Knee to the body. With 30 seconds left, both fighters were just absolutely gassed out. They really put on a great show. Great fight. I'd give it top 5 for fight of the year. It was actually a really good fight, Kelly. It was, you know, I'm not just throwing that shit out there. These guys really went to war on each other, and they really didn't let up. There was really no slowness to the round except for the last 30 seconds. The shitty thing is ending in a draw. I had the 5th round to Vladimir just with the leg kicks and the knee, but they gave it a draw. I guess they had somebody else, and so Vladimir gets to keep the belt. But this is weird. Both fighters thanked Khabib's dad in their thank you speeches. I thought that was just so fucking weird. I don't know. I didn't know he was such a celebrity. I didn't know he was so popular in Russia. I just thought he was Khabib's dad, and obviously he was a wrestler because his ears are all cauliflowered. Maybe he's a famous wrestler. I have no clue. Very, very weird. Great fight though. Great card overall. I was really impressed. I'll watch another fight nights. Good work, Russia. Good work. At least I didn't have to get to watch the Professional Fight League. I'll watch it again, but it looked like it was actually a pretty decent tournament they would put on this time. Ray Cooper III obviously whipped on Jake Shields. I feel so sorry for you, Jake, man. You just step away from the game, buddy. He was one of my favorites of all time. I wouldn't have him high on my list for dudes, but I met him. He shook my hand. He was very, very polite, very nice guy. I met him at the Affliction 2 card. I took a picture with him. He was super, super cool. Couldn't have been a more nice guy. I always cheered for Jake Shields. Always been a good fighter, grappling style. But I just think with age, he's really lost his step. He doesn't really go for it. I think if you're gonna fight, you gotta go for it. You gotta really try for that finish. And I just think that he's kind of lost that. And if you don't got it, you don't got that fire in your belly. You gotta take a step back for a little while and reevaluate why you're doing it. And I don't know if he has the right people in his ear telling him that. And I think he does need that. But what I thought was cool was this one dude. Where is it here? Lewis Taylor. He's an okay fighter, but his nickname used to be Handguns, like with a Z. But now his nickname is Put the Guns Down, Taylor. I think he's got a good message. He's from Chicago, and his city is well documented as super bad gun violence. They're like the worst in the entire world for gun violence. And I think he's bringing a good message, and that's what he was interviewed before this professional fight league, how he wants to be rich to be able to help out kids in Chicago and not kill each other all the time. He won one fight and then went to a decision went to a draw with John Howard during that card. He's not a bad fighter. He's 17-4. Last loss was to David Branch. But we'll hope we see more of Lewis, Taylor, and these good messages these fighters bring, to help out the communities and shit like that. That's what we want to see from these people. They want to see them like actual athletes, not like D-bags. And I think that's what we kind of seen a little bit was Michael Chiesa when he was coming out about his lawsuit against Conor, was that people are attacking his family, like sending them messages and shit like that. And he says, why are we gonna attack my family? Why are you going to send them messages saying, they're a piece of shit for the lawsuit that I have? That attack me. But he said it's all these Conor fanboys are attacking the dude. Leave him alone. Like, geez Louise. The guy actually got hurt and lost money. Potentially lost money from that stupid dolly. He got hit by the fucking thing. You know what I mean? I'd sue his ass too. Dumbass. You guys throw dollies around? Make me lose money? Super stupid by those fans, and that's what Conor brings is a fucking bad message. Said it before. He brings a super bad message and bringing all these D-bag people, and it's terrible. Super terrible. One thing that was cool, I'm gonna talk back a little bit of wrestling. Kelly, you've been watching some wrestling now too, eh? You've been checking out some Lucha Underground on Netflix.
I have.
Yeah, that's super awesome, man.
Enjoying it.
Yeah. Have you? There's a guy. His name is Angel. He's like a tall, skinny white guy. South African.
I can't remember all the
names. He looks like he wears like motocross gear, kind of. I won't spoil it for you. I won't spoil it. He has a really, really cool move. Few episodes in. I can't remember. I think it's like episode 8. You'll see it.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spend any. I want to say any more and spoil. But it's really first season's the coolest season for Lucha Underground. It's just shitty that they didn't get extended with their show. But I think it's kind of coming up to a wraps. I think it's coming to a wraps. It was a good run. Maybe if they bring some other people, maybe we'll see. But I watched Halloween Havoc '94. Really, really cool. Just how they kind of did shit back then. It just so, I don't know if I'm looking through it with nostalgia eyes or what, but it just seems, they don't do it like they used to. But it was a really cool match between Nasty Boys and Terry Funk and Bunkhouse Buck. Man, Bunkhouse Buck, like that's gotta be the worst nickname I'd ever heard. I don't even remember this guy. Who wants to be called Bunkhouse Buck? It sounds like you're a rapist of like other dudes. It sounds like the worst nickname ever. But it was a really cool match. But the coolest part was Knobs. He's part of the Nasty Boys, and since it was Halloween Havoc, he brought like a pumpkin to the ring, and he put the pumpkin down and pile driver the other dude through the pumpkin. It was really cool. I thought that was a cool move. Nasty Boys are super cool. And what the coolest part about it was great to hear Bobby Heenan's voice. What what a golden voice that guy had, man. The wit that guy had, one of the easily the best color commentator of all time. No one could ever compare to Bobby Heenan. How he would always get underneath people's skin. He could always talk his way out of anything and get under the crowd. Great guy. Knew how to just look at everyone's bad side when he was one of the nicest guys behind the scenes too. Best color commentator for pro wrestling. But the main event was Hogan versus Flair in a steel cage match. So it was really cool. And Mr. T was the special guest referee, but it was kind of like this time because I think he changed over to NWO shortly after in the summer. This was October, but obviously in the summer, I'm pretty sure that's when he changed over to NWO. But you could hear the Hogan sucks chants. And as a little kid watching these shows, I think you kind of tuned those out because Hulk Hogan was everything. He was so popular for everyone. But you were hearing these Hogan sucks chants, and I think that was now as an adult you can kind of pick these out. And I thought that was kind of a telling moment because that's one of the major reasons why he did join NWO was because he was kind of done. The whole Hulkamania had kind of run out really. And what really brought me back was Mr. T was wearing like a starter parka. Do you remember those? Like back in elementary school, where everyone had like those parkas, the starter ones, with the big S with the star on it as the zipper too. I'm like, man, I knew somebody who had that jacket, back in the day. That really brought me back. But he made him look good. Mr. T made it look good. Every white kid from locally around here did not fill those jackets very well. But it was cool. Sensational Sherry came with Ric Flair, and she tried to climb the cage to help out, and she got her dress torn off, and she's just in like kind of a thong and garter belt, and so I thought it was kind of a funny little, for Sensational Sherry. But what an athlete she was, one of the best of all times when it came to the women wrestlers. Sensational Sherry was just so skilled on the mic, in the ring too, but she was a brute, and I think that's what got her where she was. She was just so unique. I think that's what you don't get from some people. She was just such her own person, and that's really what makes it. If you got your own machismo and your own cock of the walk to be able to walk around with a certain attitude, it just comes to you naturally. That's what that's the stuff that really people love to and gravitate to, and I sure did with Sensational Sherry. She always had something on the go, and she's the one who went way too soon too. So talented on the mic and in the ring. Great for her. And obviously afterwards, it was cool though. One thing, Kelly, is that after this match, that's what I think why they brought this one, because it was the match when Brutus turned his back. He was the masked man. He attacked Hogan and turned his back on Hogan, and he comes out being the masked man. And Kevin Sullivan comes down, but then it was actually in the first time Earthquake, who is what the heck was his I can't remember. Oh, Avalanche was his actual name. But he's actually from locally too in BC as well. And he was a great wrestler as well.
I actually knew where he lived.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. No, everyone has a story how they would run into him, at a store or baseball field. But he was a really good college wrestler. He actually got a full ride at LSU. So once he was done that, he's like, I'm gonna be a sumo. So he went to Japan and was a sumo for a few years. But as sumos, I think he wanted to party more and have fun. As sumos, you can't really do that. You gotta just stay around dudes and sumo wrestle and eat. That's like your whole thing. And he didn't like that. So he eventually found pro wrestling and started as Earthquake. I thought he was huge as Earthquake. I thought he was great as Earthquake. And then I don't know what happened. Money or whatever happened at that time. And then I think that's when WWE was going through its youth movement, and maybe Earthquake was a little bit too old. But he made his debut in WCW and as Avalanche and beat up Hogan. And I thought it was a really cool move. But he was a really, really cool wrestler, cool local guy. He died way too soon as well. I think he actually died in the early 2000s. So usually a sad fate of wrestlers, unfortunately, is a young age. And maybe I dodged a bullet by not being a wrestler.
Is Bam Bam Bigelow still alive?
No, he died long ago as well.
No.
Yeah. we could have a show where you just like list off wrestlers, and I just like say like alive or dead.
Ultimate Warrior.
Long dead, yeah. No, he just died actually just recently. No. But what the saddest part of Ultimate Warrior is, because he really had it. He kind of went a little loopy and was like internet crazy, where he just would rant on about government stuff and how he hated WWE. But they eventually patched their ties and shook hands, and they elect, and then because I think they call up Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior wants you to be in the Hall of Fame. What do you do? And he came back, and everyone was hugs and kisses again. And Ultimate Warrior was the Hall of Fame is on the Sunday, like is on because on WrestleMania. He comes to Raw on the Monday, and he dies. He died Tuesday.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's kind of really sad, but he like at least he got his moment. You know what I mean? He got his moment to come back and say his thanks, and then but then 2 days later he's dead.
I really didn't know he was dead.
Yep.
I know Macho Man Randy Savage died because it was all over Facebook.
Yeah, he died. Yeah, they think it was a heart attack when he was driving his car, and he just plowed into a tree and died that way.
And Owen Hart, he passed away. Man, a lot of wrestlers.
Lots, yep. Lots. It's the unfortunate life of wrestling, I guess. Even dudes who weren't into drugs or the hard life, there was lots of partying going on, and but the dudes who weren't into that, they find some other kind of fate. You know what I mean? They find another way, unfortunately, to pass away.
I'm trying to think of more wrestlers that I used to know when I was a kid.
We'll come up. We'll do that. Maybe we'll do that next time.
Sounds good.
Is alive or dead, and we'll just like kind of go because you'll see it when you got a list in front of you, right? You'll be able to see it. Well, I think that brings us to our conclusion of show number 7. Really good show. I had a hard week myself, man, and missed out on some partying this weekend too. I'm really sad about that. Actually, I really wanted to go to that party, man. I was super bummed out that I couldn't go to, but I was that sick that I was like, I'm not gonna mess around with anything. I just want to get better. I never want to feel like this again, ever in my life. Well, that about wraps it up for show number 7 of the new podcast. My name is Steven, speaking for Kelly, signing off. Three, 2, 1, testing. Syphilis. 3, 2, 1, syphilis.
Gonorrhea. Gone or Rhea?
Question mark?
Question mark?